Why reading will actually help you become fluent in Japanese. In this video, I'll teach you everything you need to know about reading and how to make it more efficient than when you normally read throughout the day. If you didn't know, it sounds crazy, but reading does help you on making listening way easier, and it probably is the best method that you could do to reduce the grammar mistakes in your speech. I'm Ivan, Spanish native with 3+ years in English, Japanese for 17 months, and as an athlete, I help language learners who struggle with discipline. Where reading will make your listening easier. So when you're reading, you get in contact with a lot of words, and so this will literally make your listening be easier in the sense that you will recognize the word already. You already know the meaning of the word because you have studied the reading and the meaning when you were reading. And one of the good things about reading is that you literally need to know the reading and the meaning to keep reading and to also keep understanding the story. That's why you probably hear people saying that reading along with listening alone too is probably the best method to learning language. But of course, doing this is not easy. You have the need of making your brain work, and the best way of making your brain work is literally just one action, which is fasting. You probably can relate to this, which is that when you eat and you eat a lot, you probably have that feeling of being bloated, and so you can't really concentrate whenever you're bloated, right? But when you eat just a bit of something, you can pretty much relate to that. I can concentrate a lot more in my studies. That is because your body is not putting all of the resources on trying to digest the fucking food that you have eaten 30 minutes ago. If you're going to read, always do it first thing in the morning or first thing when you wake up, because you always want to have your first action with something disciplined. You don't want to have your first action with something that doesn't really take effort. Because think about it for a moment. If your first action on the day is doing something like eating breakfast, now reading will become way harder than it usually is. But if you do reading first thing in the morning and then you eat breakfast after, breakfast will actually be way more pleasurable now, because you have done something that takes some amount of work to actually be able to have the food now as a win. Oh my god, how can you see that reading helps you in speaking? Are you crazy? No, I'm not. If you are not sure about how much parts of the language you do understand, reading helps you to notice every word you do understand and you don't understand, every grammar rule you don't understand, and deepens the connection between you and the language. And this is something that you need to realize. Listening does not do this as efficiently. Of course, whatever type of immersion helps you on learning the language, reading is probably the best method when it comes to deepening the understanding you have of grammar rules, vocabulary, and the language in general. Having said this, to actually speak, you need to have a deep understanding of the word and the grammar rule. That's why reading is key on this aspect, because not even listening will help you to have that much understanding of the word you want to speak. I'll tell you my experience. When I started reading in Japanese, I thought I knew way more words than I knew in reality. And when I started reading the light novel, it became so clear that I literally just knew the reading of the word, not the meaning. Because when you watch something like anime YouTube videos or Japanese drama with Japanese subtitles, you always hear the reading of the word, and since you have some context on the story, it's not really that necessary to pay attention at the meaning. But when you actually want to understand every detail of the book you're reading, there's a necessity for you to understand every word they say in there, and so you probably won't keep reading the light novel or book until you get at least the gist of the word you're having trouble at. At last, why is reading the best way of acquiring vocabulary? I don't even need a study to prove it to you. There's literally two reasons for it, which are very common sense. The first one is that when you read, you're always doing immersion. What I mean by this is that you don't have those empty spaces in which you are not doing immersion like in anime. If you have done immersion with whatever type of drama or anime and there's a fight, you will never get something useful about watching someone punching another person for 2 minutes. In reading, even if it's a fight, the author has the necessity of describing the entire scene, because if not, the book has finished. The second reason about why reading is the best way of acquiring vocabulary is you can read faster than you can talk. Simple as that. Usually, a native speaker in English speaks at an about of 150 words per minute, and they can read at 240 words per minute. This means that just by the nature of reading, you'll get more exposure to words by default, and so you will learn more vocabulary by default. That's it for the video. Check my community in the description, which is totally free right now, for my specific help, and be sure to engage with this content if you want more people to know about this. Thank you.